Hello everyone, dear friends. I am glad to welcome you today. My name is Fidrya Yuriy. I am a contactee with the higher forces of light, with angels and archangels. And today we will have a live broadcast dedicated to the topic of interacting with our family of light, with our spiritual guides, angels and archangels. Who are they? What is this spiritual hierarchy? Does the concept of hierarchy even exist here? Is it appropriate in this case? So let's get acquainted with our heavenly helpers and brothers. And let's dispel some myths on this topic. So enjoy watching. It's going to be a very interesting broadcast. And today, at the end of this broadcast, we will do a very good, interesting meditation together. This meditation is dedicated to entering the quantum gateway 1212. These gateways are located in the highest realms, from where the energies that come to Earth originate the energies of the quantum transition. These energies are formed from the core of the galaxy, passing into this space through an energetic network of tunnels and bringing to Earth what are called the light codes of renewal. Today we will receive these codes together. We will allow these codes to heal the Earth and give it a new wave of renewal. So let's begin with how our universe is structured. Many people talk about the concept of spiritual hierarchy, about the existence of so-called higher hierarchs, lower hierarchs, and so on. They imagine angels, archangels, cherubim, and seraphim as a kind of structure of civil servants who serve under God Himself and obey His commands. In reality, this is a myth. It is arranged quite differently. Nothing could be further from the truth than such an understanding of the structure of the divine hierarchy. So let's figure out what it really is and how it is actually organized. The foundation of our reality is that every individual, as an individual soul in this universe, essentially represents a small unit, like a cell in the human body, like a cell in the brain. A neuron, which, when connected with others, forms a global, cosmic, unified network. So, our Creator, the original God the Creator, or however you refer to Him, it's not some old man with a beard sitting on a throne in the heavens. It's not like that at all. That's an irrational stereotype that people assign to the concept of God simply because, for them, it is associated with the word father. And who is a father? A father is a dominant man, a source of orders and commands, someone to whom you must submit. And so people start to perceive God as some kind of dictator who rules over the entire universe, subjugating everyone and punishing all who exist here for their sins. And as a result, the image of God turns out to be not one of love and light, but as if God is some kind of evil God, a dictator who excessively takes away people's freedom instead of giving it, right? Let's dispel this myth, because these myths were deliberately imposed on people to lead them away from the truth. And I want to immediately make a small clarification remark that everything I'm talking about has nothing to do with any religions. That is, the concept of divinity that we are all talking about is a single divine mind within which we are like neurons, just as in our brain. Each neuron is an independent cell, but only together do they form the unity called the human brain and the human body. In exactly the same way, we exist within a single absolute. The absolute is not one, but unifida unity. It is a unified God, not a singular God. Do you understand? And there are people who say that, for example, there are polytheistic and monotheistic religions, but right now we are dispelling these myths. All disputes between these religions are meaningless, because everything is part of a single whole, not of one and not of many, but of a unified whole. That's why, in essence, there's really no point in arguing about any religion regarding which one interprets what God is more correctly. On our YouTube channel, I've already recorded a long live stream. In fact, on the topic of who God really is. It's called What Religions Hide? Who is God really? If you're new to my channel or watching me for the first time, you can find this stream in the list of my live broadcasts and watch it. All the information there is very interesting, important, and relevant. And now, based on this, the understanding changes, yes. If we understand God not as some single old man sitting somewhere in the heavens handing out orders, but we begin to see it as a unified whole. Just imagine, there are cells living inside us, inside our bodies. This could be skin cells, for example, liver cells, or other cells of the body. Each cell has its own nucleus. It can reproduce, divide. Each cell has its own genetic information, but everything is unified, right? And each cell can receive signals from some kind of God, yes, from some absolute consciousness. And living inside us, the cells have no idea that they are inside such an organism. They form a completely unknown idea to us about what kind of person it is inside whom they live. And it's possible that the cells of our skin or the cells of our body, which don't have eyes and can't see the whole person, think that a human is some kind of God who sits up there somewhere, controls everything, and manages it all. In a way, they're right, but in reality, the truth is that a human is the unity of all the cells that make them up, just like the original absolute. Do you understand now what this is all about? And now we come to the topic of angels and archangels and the divine spiritual hierarchy. And here I should mention that every contactee or source of information has their own terminological basis, upon which they build their understanding of these spiritual hierarchies. And I would say that I do not support the idea that spirit can be divided into levels. I have heard from some contactees a theory that the spiritual world is divided, for example, into 24 levels. For some reason, there are only 24 of them, and they don't even explain why. So there are 24 levels of the spiritual world, this one, that one, and so on. When I look at this information, as you know, I have a special channel and gift I can, by touching any information, feel whether it is true or not. And when I touch this information, I start to realize that it's just some kind of image for understanding which was given to these contactees so that they could at least explain it somehow. But in reality, in the spiritual world, there are no such ladders or gradations. It's not a computer game where a person develops and the sign pops up above their head. Your level is 35, 36, 37. There's nothing like that in the universe. We simply expand. And this way of measuring it's like a little ruler, you know? Everyone comes up with their own system of measurement for it. Some use centimeters, others use inches, right? Some use kilograms, others use pounds, some use meters, others use feet. And good luck figuring out what's what, right? And some people even measure with cubits, you know, 1 cubit, 2 cubits. And here, there isn't really a concept that in the spiritual world, there's a clear hierarchy of who is who. That hierarchy doesn't exist. So then, how is the divine hierarchy structured? Is it really not true that angels are subordinate to God? Is it really not true that someone specifically rules over someone else there? First of all, let's remove the word power from this discussion. The word power is not applicable at all when talking about spiritual beings, about angels, archangels, seraphim, and cherubim. They have no concept of power. No one rules over them, and they do not rule over anyone. The concept of power and hierarchical control exists only within low vibrational demonic structures, because they are separated from love. In the angelic realm, everything is governed by the energy of love. And the more a being's soul expands, the broader the experience of that spiritual being, the more light it radiates. And the more light this spiritual being radiates, the greater the area covered by that light. Make sense? It makes sense. And it resonates in the heart. So feel every word, whether it resonates in your heart or not. Practice so that no one can fool you, deceive you, or cloud your mind. Feel for yourself whether I'm telling the truth or not. The more a being connects with love, the more rays of light it emits into the universe. And what is depicted as wings on angels is actually rays of light radiating in all directions. And the larger these wings, the greater, the more powerful these rays of light. What are rays of light? They are rays of love stretching out in all directions of the universe. And angels do not have any hierarchy of authority because they have no need for it. A being that is one with divine love has no need for management or control because it intuitively knows how to create this world with love, how to share that love, how to create with the help of that love, how to build and how to help others out of a sense of compassion. Do you understand? A gentle heart, a kind and loving one. That's how they interact. And beings that are considered higher or lower are not actually higher or lower in rank, in servitude to God, or in authority. There is no rank, no civility, no authority there. Get that out of your head. They differ only in the range of their vibrations. Imagine a piano a narrow range. Let's take one octave of a piano. Octave of a piano is, for example, like 7 archangels. And the more a being shines, the more life experience it has, the more incarnational experience, the more octaves the soul of that being encompasses. So, for example, if we take archangels, their energy might cover, say, 2 octaves, while seraphim and cherubim, their energy covers 10, 20, 30 octaves of vibration, right? I use these terms because they give us a general idea through imagery. Imagine a grand piano whose length extends so far to the left and right that it goes beyond the boundaries of your room. That's roughly the range of vibrations of seraphim and cherubim. And we can't say that they, for example, possess only some kind of exclusively higher vibrations. No. They possess the highest range of love, but they are familiar with. They have experience with all kinds of vibrations because it's impossible to truly understand how to radiate love and compassion toward those who are, for example, demons or low vibrational beings. If you haven't experienced that yourself, that's why many beings have incarnated both in bodies and in worlds of heavy low vibrations where they had to go through demonic incarnations as well as in worlds of higher vibrations. By worlds I mean planets, yes. And on low vibration planets where survival is the main concern, where everyone tears each other apart with wars and cataclysms, and also on planets similar to ours around the 3rd density, where there is a bit of both. And somehow we are able to choose. And we have incarnated on planets of angelic worlds, such as the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, where there is only love and light, only joy and well-being. They have no suffering, no illness, no wars, nothing like that at all. That is, in order to become a vast being, divine and loving, radiating unconditional love to absolutely everything, you need to experience every kind of situation yourself, firsthand. I think that's wonderful, understandable, and logical. So in our universe, there are 2 types of beings. Beings that were born from God originally, at the moment when the universe was just being created, and beings that are already the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th generations of spirits. What do I mean by this? When our God Absolute emerged as a unified structure well, we don't know what was before that. And we never will know or be able to know. Whether there were other absolutes, most likely that is the case. Most likely the universe is structured as trillions, billions, an infinite number of absolutes that appear, are born, and within each one a universe is born, just like ours. Most likely the absolute came into being, was born, appeared, and spread its vibrations throughout the universe. And that is when the primordial, the very first archangels and the original cherubim appeared. Archangels, cherubim, and I would also add the pillars of creation. So imagine 3 categories for now. Archangels and the pillars of creation were among the original sources of all energies in the universe. First, the pillars of creation appeared. The pillars of creation are the very essence of the universe, the foundation upon which everything operates. They are something that is even difficult to describe in words or to call by any specific term, because they are simply like the fundamental basic laws of the universe, thanks to which the entire universe exists in harmony. In other words, these are the highest manifestations of harmony, and they do not even possess any kind of individual self. They are simply distributed throughout the entire universe and are harmoniously present in everything. They are absolutely neutral toward everything. For them, the most important thing is to maintain the existence and balance of all energies and laws, so that all the laws of physics work, so that all the laws of equilibrium function, and so on. In other words, these are the original sources of all harmony. Next, from them emerge the primordial cherubim and seraphim. Seraphim and cherubim are very closely related concepts, but they are highly multidimensional structures that are responsible for a specific sector of the universe, perhaps for a galaxy, or perhaps for sectors comprising several galaxies. That is, they regulate the flow of energy there and embody an original quantum of energy, determining the probabilistic course of space-time. These are beings that exist beyond our universe, yet at the same time are extremely vast. And then archangels appear. Archangels essentially are like a rainbow that appears when sunlight is split into rays. Sunlight has different spectra. Yes, if we look at the spectrum of sunlight, it has a narrow band of visible rainbow light, but before that there is ultraviolet light, and there is also infrared light. And the ultraviolet and infrared light, these are all laws. Ultraviolet and higher ranges of vibration are the cherubim. This is the fundamental light itself that radiates in all directions, right? Cherubim and seraphim. And in the middle, this visible spectrum is angels and archangels. Archangels are the beings closest to us, each of whom is responsible for their own sectors as well. Archangelic energies themselves are like a kind of quantum flow. That is, they appear as a pillar of light, a pillar of energy. But when people come into contact with archangels, each person perceives them in their own way. Let me repeat. All angels, archangels, and the beings I mentioned are forms of energy. Those whom I mentioned, seraphim, angels, and archangels, were the first generation. As soon as the world was created, they were the first generation. Then our universe evolved, meaning the creator evolved, and this first generation began to give birth to and generate new and ever more higher selves from themselves. These higher selves were individual paramatmans, that is, individual particles of spirit. In order for the spirit of the entire Creator God to evolve, these paramatmans, individual souls, began to incarnate into physical bodies once physical bodies in the universe became harmonious. And so the first generation of these spirits emerged when the archangels themselves, as well as the cherubim and seraphim, incarnated, gave birth to new souls in physical bodies, and these new souls accumulated experience. And thus the first cycle of the universe's unfolding occurred when the universe fully expanded to its complete size and a dense material civilization arose within it, just like us, with arms and legs, right? An anthropomorphic civilization, the very first anthropomorphic civilization, which also went through its own evolutionary experience. They also lived on a planet. At first, they developed from tribes scattered across the planet, just like we did. Then they formed a society, and later a unified planetary society emerged. After that, they ventured into space and began to explore it. They started mastering vibrational frequencies and learned how to jump between different vibrational frequencies. In other words, they first became 3-dimensional beings, then 4-dimensional, then 5-dimensional, 6-dimensional, 7-dimensional, up to 12-dimensional. Their evolution reached such a level that they became similar to the original first creator. We call this civilization the civilization of the ancients. They are called the ancients because they were the first to reach the highest point of development within our absolute. Some of their representatives founded their own universes. That is, they separated and created their own universes, while some stayed and became part of the fundamental quantum, this M, part of the family of light. Archangels, angels, seraphim, and cherubim. In other words, they ascended to the level of seraphim and cherubim and took part in the next cycle of universe creation. And when the universe unfolded, it always goes through cycles of expansion and contraction. This is the inhale and exhale of God. So what happened? The first unfolding of the universe led to the development of these beings. Some of them branched off and created independent universes, becoming absolutes within them. And those who remained, they began, these are not the Anunnaki. What are you talking about here? What Anunnaki? These are the original ancient ones, those whom we call gods, yes. When they began to manifest in the second cycle of the universe's rebirth years, the universe contracted and then expanded again. The second cycle of the universe's rebirth occurred, then the universe contracted and expanded once more. The third cycle of rebirth took place, and now we are living in the fourth cycle of the rebirth of our absolute as it is unfolding. And most importantly, many of the spiritual teachers who came to earth were themselves ancients. For example, Yeshua was one of the ancients. Shiva is one of the ancients. Krishna is one of the ancients, and Buddha is one of the ancients. That is, the ascended masters who came to earth were incarnations of those higher cherubim and seraphim who were the ancients. And they went through all four cycles of the universe's rebirth, preserving their experience and their memory. Only beings who have reached the highest seraphic level can retain their memory when the creator is recreated. For all the rest, for all other souls, their memory is erased during the recreation of the universe because they return into the creator, merging with him so completely that no boundaries remain between them. And it is precisely when they are recreated again and begin to incarnate into the universe that their energy manifests once more. So, how is it? Is it clear, more or less, the way I'm explaining it? Is it interesting? Now, about the archangels. There are different kinds of archangels, and they are responsible for different sectors of the galaxy. Among the original archangels, we know Archangel Raziel, Archangel Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. I will tell you about all the other archangels later, but for now we are getting acquainted with these. And I want to say right away that these images of the archangels should not be tied to any religions, because they do not belong to any religion, but are independent forms of energy. It's just that someone happened to name them this way. And this energy suits them. Yes, this is the name and this is the image, but nevertheless, we understand that the archangels themselves, they do not belong to any egregorial structures. They are the fundamental foundations of reality. Well, it's difficult. What did you expect? So learn, become aware, pause the video for yourself, watch it several times, expand your range of vibrations and awareness, because it is precisely through this that you shed light into your consciousness. Knowledge is light. My sharing of this knowledge with you is love. Now look, when we talk about angels and archangels, now we understand that originally, when all this magnificence was being created, it manifested into the world, condensing from subtle vibrations into matter. But the process can also move in the opposite direction. Any person, any spiritual being, or even a non-human, an extraterrestrial, anyone, can develop to the level of an archangel. One such archangel is Archangel Metatron, who was Enoch. He was incarnated on earth as the biblical figure Enoch, who wrote the Book of Enoch. You can read it yourself. There is also another figure who was on earth around our time as well in the last 2,000 or 3,000 years. This is Archangel Sandalphon. I won't tell you now exactly who he was from the historical figures, but he was also one of the archangels He also became one of the archangels when he finished his incarnation. And now, many archangels can manifest on earth in physical bodies. That is, some archangels currently have incarnations on earth because they have chosen to come at this time to help the planet with its evolution and spiritual development. Is this information clear? The 5th chapter of Genesis, or the 6th, or the 7th. Look, first and foremost, at the truth, there is no truth in books. Truth and reality are all around you and in your heart only there. But books were written by people, and those people could have introduced distortions into them, just as so, distortions created solely by their own understanding. Now I will show you some of the archangels and tell you what they are responsible for and which aspects they oversee. Let's start with Archangel Raziel. He's one of my favorite archangels, one of my mentors. A rainbow aura emanates from him because out of all the archangels, he has the highest level of access to the universe. I would even say that he's not exactly an archangel, but rather more like a representative similar to the seraphim or cherubim. That is, among all the archangels, he possesses the most powerful spiritual knowledge. The level of his spiritual knowledge is so great that he knows the secrets of the creation of the entire universe. He is the archangel who knows all the laws of the universe, who can in fact possess all magical secrets. And it is also said about him that Archangel Raziel is the angel who can enter, who has access to the divine library of knowledge. In other words, you could call him a quantum mage, that is, someone who possesses sacred knowledge. And among all the archangels, he is like a mage. He commands all types of energies, which is why he has a rainbow aura and such radiant rainbow-colored wings. He was the teacher of Archangel Metatron, whom you know, and he passed information to him when Metatron was still on Earth and writing the Book of Enoch. Archangel Raziel was in active contact with him, and there is a book on Earth of which only one copy exists, called the Book of Raziel. This is a secret sacred book that is kept very securely, and its location is unknown. You can find some images of fragments from this book, but its essence is that it contains the magical secrets of the entire universe. If you possess this book, you can control matter and, create anything you want. In other words, it is a kind of mysterious knowledge. This book exists on Earth, but I hope it never falls into anyone's hands. That's the kind of archangel he is. Alright, I'll put him aside now. If you're interested in these images, I'll post them in my Telegram channel. I'll send you the link to the Telegram channel later, and you'll be able to look at them and get familiar with all of them. Now, Archangel Michael, I have several images of him in different forms. Archangel Michael is an aspect of the blue ray of energy, the blue or indigo ray. This is the aspect of the energy of truth, honesty, protection, the protection of truth, the protection of what is right. Why is he called Michael? There is a legend about how Michael got his name. Michael means the one who is like God. But this does not mean that he himself is like God. Rather, it means that these were the very words he spoke when division arose among the archangels, when the archangels began to differentiate and split into different streams. Thus appeared the so-called Archangel Lucifer, the bearer of light. And this archangel, I was wondering today why he is called the light bearer and why he eventually fell and became a fallen angel. I'll explain it to you now. And actually, it's very simple. And what's most interesting is that, in fact, without him, our universe wouldn't really be the universe as we know it. Imagine a space of absolute light where, like the white on my t-shirt, everything is white, so white that you can't see anything except the light. It's so white and so bright that it's just pure, continuous light. In such a space, nothing could have any shape or appearance. It would be impossible to see any colors of the rainbow. Nothing at all, because everything is white, 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 and it's impossible to look at. It's too bright, so dazzling that there's nothing at all, and there's no difference between light and not light. In other words, it's a point of concentrated light where there is nothing except light. Can you picture that? Yes. So why is Lucifer called the light bringer? Do you want to know? It's precisely because when all of this was in a single point, it was concentrated. It was necessary for this light to go somewhere, right? And where does light go? Light always moves from a point where it is bright to a point where it is dark. That is, for light to move, for the creation of the universe to even become possible, it is necessary to create space for this light to spread. It is necessary to allow the light to rush through space so that it can reveal all its aspects, all the colors of the rainbow, so that it can manifest all matter, all energy you need to let the light rush forth. And in order to let the light fly and rush forward, what is needed? Darkness must appear. That is, the part that tries to escape from the light. So, just so you understand, actual darkness itself does not exist in the universe, because darkness would simply be the absence of light. But everywhere we look in the universe, there are stars everywhere. There is no such thing as absolutely dark space. Even in places that are extremely dark, light still manages to reach there. And it is precisely light that marks the boundary of our universe. And Lucifer is a personification of the aspect of the universe's expansion when some invisible boundary tries to escape from the light. In other words, it is the light itself that pushes the boundary of the universe. The light shines and pushes the boundary of the universe, and the boundary of the universe seems to be trying to run away from this light. And it is precisely because of this that the light rushes forward. But there is no darkness. Even where the boundary of the universe lies, it is still bright. That's why even the darkest demons, even the darkest angels who have fallen angels and Lucifer himself, all still have a particle of God within them, and they all still possess a particle of light. They cannot get rid of this. And no matter how hard they try to distance themselves from it, it still catches up with them. The light still reaches them. And so, in this sense, no one is actually fighting anyone. This struggle exists only in the minds and souls of people. But if you look at the universe from an absolute point of view, it is the spreading of light. So that's why Archangel Michael was called "Who is like God?" There is a legend, which of course has been passed down to us in a metaphorical form, not a literal one. That is, we need to understand that it didn't happen exactly like that. And this is a metaphorical understanding that once all the angels gathered together and Lucifer began to say that he had reached such a level of development that he himself was like God. And he started persuading the angels to join him to overthrow God themselves and to create everything in this world according to their own rules. In other words, they imagined that the universe was arranged incorrectly and that they were so clever and knew how it should really be organized. And in this sense, what did they do? They distanced themselves from the light of truth, and no one cast them down from the heavens. They fell from there on their own. Why? Because the heavens, well, it's a figurative concept, right? The heavens. But according to the legend, when Lucifer said all this, the first archangel who objected was Archangel Michael. He stood up and said, "Who is like God? You?" That is, Archangel Michael embodies the reminder of our divine nature and is the one who protects, guards, and brings the truth. His sword is fiery, yes, a blue lightsaber. He embodies, let me bring him up on the screen for you now. Where do I have him? He embodies the energy of truth, that is the true light. The light of knowledge, the light of truth, the protection offered by this light, and his energy has a blue ray, an aspect of blue energy that dissolves illusions and awakens awareness. The fallen angels did not descend back then simply because they were cast out of heaven, nor was it because God had rejected them or chosen to punish them in any particular way. You know, they make up these stories themselves to cloud people's minds and claim that God is some kind of, again, this belongs to demonic entities, this story that God is like some old man sitting on a throne, ruling over everyone like a dictator. That's how they perceive him. Because when they decided that they themselves are just like God, they separated themselves from divine love and fell into selfishness. And selfishness is what separates you as much as possible from the source. Because going back to the beginning of our lecture, I told you that we are all one, right? And God is unity. Accordingly, in order to connect with God, you need to attain unity in love. But if you think of yourself as a single unit, I'm alone, I don't need anyone, I'm alone, that's it, everyone, get away from me, I hate everyone, right? I hate them. That is, I don't even want to see them. And what does it mean to see? Again, it means to perceive light. I don't want to perceive the light. That's what hatred is, right? And so they fell into this state of hatred and cut themselves off from the light, starting to move as far away from it as possible. And the universe began to expand. But it is precisely because of this that all the harmony of yin and yang exists in our universe. The energy is always balanced, the laws of the universe are always balanced, and they constantly interact harmoniously. And everything is needed for something. You understand, right? What's the point? Where did these illustrations come from? We drew them ourselves, spent several days working on them with a special program, and you won't find these illustrations anywhere else on the internet. I'll share them later in the Telegram channel. Is it clear to you now who Archangel Michael is? Of course, any archangel is a kind of quantum flow. His wings are not literally the wings of a bird. We drew them that way because the image resembled some three-minded people of bird wings. But in reality, it's light, rays of light, as I said, radiating in all directions. It's their aura, their biofield. But in essence, they represent a quantum, a pillar of light. And if you wish, you can turn to these archangels for help and support, so that they assist you in cleansing, healing, removing obstacles, and eliminating negative or any other manifestations. You can do this in your own words. You can also attune to them mentally, call upon them in meditation, so that they protect you. I highly recommend that in any meditation, even when you are simply watching someone's video, you can call upon the archangels to protect you. Their energies, they are present within us. But archangels, as aspects of God, respect the law of free will. If the archangels respect the law of free will, then a person absolutely needs to make a request to the archangels in order for them to interact with him. Of course, you may have your own understanding regarding archangels. That's why I suggest you don't just take my word for it, but try it out for yourselves. Reach the same level of meditation that I have achieved. Enter a state of samadhi, let go of your ego, and discard the patterns and stereotypes imposed on you by society. Forget about all the sources of information that have imposed their views about archangels on you, and accept your own information, get to the truth on your own. And as for writing to me, Yuri, that's not quite right. Well, that's not based on anything. Reach this level of meditation yourself and you will discover how it really is. And if you just read some book somewhere or heard it from someone else, that's still not the truth. Again, I'm telling you, right now, you should be listening to this broadcast not with your mind, but with your heart, and understanding everything from here. Through a sense of resonance, not through the intellect. Oh, is it really like that or not? And then the ego starts to kick in, stirring up a mess of thoughts, sifting through stereotypes that people have made up for each other. Tell us about Shiva. I'll talk about Indian deities separately because there's a lot of interesting stuff there. There are a bunch of aliens involved, connected with them, and there's a lot that can be said about it. So I've talked about Archangel Michael, Archangels. So who else do we have? Where are my archangels? Archangel Raphael is also one of the main archangels. He is the embodiment of the energy of mercy and is associated with green energy. And the green energy of Archangel Raphael is the energy of the healing archangel. That is, he heals souls and physical bodies. That's why you can direct requests for healing to him. His energy is the energy of the green flow. When it heals you, it fills you with energy and strength and helps resolve certain inner conflicts. It resonates at the level of the heart, at the level of the Anahata chakra. If Archangel Michael resonates at the level of the third eye chakra, when he speaks of truth, yes, truth awakens in awareness, then Archangel Raphael speaks of the wholeness of soul, spirit, and body. That is, he heals the soul, spirit, and body, restoring the unity of the human essence. Of course, everyone may have a different idea of the archangels. The fact is, the information about archangels on the internet varies greatly, and it is often very distorted. Even the information written in sacred texts, in the Bible even there, the information is distorted. And about many archangels, nothing is said at all. And it is not mentioned that there are actually more than 12 archangels. So all of this is really part of the same thing. But with many sources, whenever I tried to find information about archangels, I would encounter the feeling, using my gift, my intuition, that something didn't resonate, that this wasn't the truth. This wasn't true. So what is the truth? And in the process of my own communication with the archangels and working with them, and I work with them constantly during my healing sessions, they serve as curators in my courses. I interact with them all the time. I learn from them, communicate with them, and channel messages from them, but it is specifically through them that I learn directly, without intermediaries, what they truly are. So the next archangel I will introduce you to is Archangel Gabriel. I wasn't able to properly form his image. Archangel Gabriel is more characterized by a feminine manifestation. That is, his energy is very similar to the energy of the feminine principle. Therefore, I depicted him as resembling a woman. But in general, archangels are beings that do not have a specific gender because they do not possess a physical body. That is, they do not have a gender identity, but depending on the forms of their energy, they can be perceived and manifested differently in the way people see them. So Archangel Gabriel is most often perceived as a feminine aspect because he is responsible for the manifestation of birth, the embodiment of life. But each archangel has very multidimensional tasks. That is, all of them can be responsible for healing. All of them can also protect, all of them can also bring truth, all of them are part of one divine whole. We don't divide archangels into some kind of idols, like this one is for this, that one is for that. You go to this one with these questions, you go to that one with those questions. They are all part of a single whole. And each archangel can manifest all types of energy and assistance and anything you want, including healing. But each archangel has their own more characteristic range of vibrations. And specifically for Archangel Gabriel, this is creation, motherhood, the birth of new life, love, and so on. That is, he is more responsible for these aspects. And I would say that his sphere of influence is the first two chakras and the base of the Kundalini energy, which is located between them, right? In general, to sum up, you could specify that these three main archangels are like three rays of light, which embody the primordial whose blending gives rise to all the colors of the rainbow. Archangel Michael is the blue ray, Archangel Raphael is the green ray, and Archangel Gabriel is a pink-orange-red ray whose exact color is, well, hard to define. That is, he also has layers of spectral radiation. All of them are part of our divine family of light. And also one of my main curators and mentors is Archangel Metatron. So now let me show you a different picture of him. This was the picture I had here. Yes, Archangel Metatron. He is the Archangel of Order. Unlike other archangels, he occupies a higher order in the structure of the human chakra system and is more closely associated with the chakra known as the crystal soul star. The crystal soul star is located above a person's head and it contains 12 soul monads. And Archangel Mika Metatron, he helps to shift the soul from one range of vibrations to another. In other words, Archangel Metatron helps us move into 5D and assists us in gaining soul experience by activating aspects of different forms of manifestation. And Archangel Metatron, as I mentioned before, was incarnated quite recently in a human body and experienced life here as Enoch. He is also one of my main guides. I love him very much because he is very difficult to communicate with. It's difficult because he is very precise, very structured, just like Metatron's cube. And when you interact with him, he starts to structure you, organizes you, arranges your thoughts. Your consciousness begins to put everything in order, to organize things. He is responsible for the quantum space and also embodies a divine aspect. I also want to answer a question now that you might have. What about Archaea? People have invented female aspects for the archangels, as if the archangels have husbands and was if they are husband and wife. And each archangel supposedly has a wife. Allegedly, the Archaea of that archangel. In reality, this is nothing more than a product of the human mind and has nothing to do with the truth. Because when I just recently communicated with the archangels, they themselves were surprised and said to me, actually, we don't understand why people divide us into male and female. We have aspects of different energies. We manifest in different ways. We can manifest in both masculine and feminine energy. We don't have a specific gender, and we don't understand why people divide us. They invent wives for us, separate us, and attribute their own qualities to us. I said, well, archangels, that's just how people are. Well, they judge everyone by themselves, attributing some human qualities. But I'm telling you now, there is no such concept as an archaea for an archangel. What people perceive as archangels and archaeas is actually just one indivisible whole. And there's no need to split these concepts because division is a property of the mind. Because the mind is like a knife that cuts everything into different characteristics. But the more you cut things up with your mind, the more confused you become. Because the universe is one and God is one. And I repeat again, all archangels are parts of the one, unified God. And each of them is manifested through us as well. And we ourselves are also a manifestation of the forms of these archangels. Is it interesting? Is it clear? Let me enlarge Archangel Metatron for you once again. Take a look at him. We ended up having a whole lecture about archangels, a very interesting one. Now let's talk about Seraphim. Some people tell me that they see an eye during meditation. And as a rule, the eye is a manifestation of the seraphim, because seraphim are even depicted even on walls, in temples, when they are portrayed. They are shown as wings, 6 wings, and an eye in the center. That is, as the source of God himself, the observer. The observer observing this reality is like the highest absolute, like one of the forms of observers, like one of the forms of the supreme absolute. But even seraphim have also manifested in the bodies of different beings. For example, Shiva is a seraphim, Krishna, Vishnu, and also the Virgin Mary. These are cherubim and seraphim. Yeshua is also a seraphim. Actually, no, Yeshua is above the seraphim, but he is the first among them, that is, a seraphim of the highest order, the very highest. And all the others, they are simply the fundamental basis of reality. I tried to depict seraphim, but depicting seraphim is very difficult, almost impossible. But I managed to create a few images and I'll show them to you on the screen now. Take a look. So they have these energy fields like wings, yes, spreading in all directions, with a radiant point of light and truth at the center, like an eye, right? Only this point of the primordial absolute observation is simultaneously the source of the energy that creates everything and the one that absorbs it, meaning it both creates and destroys. As you know, the Bible says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. This is about the seraphim. That is, they were at the beginning and at the end. They are present at the beginning and at the end of all incarnations. But among them, there are also seraphim who take on quite human forms and appear as teachers, becoming part of the teaching system. For example, one of my curators. But here we depicted her only to the extent that was convenient. She appears specifically in a female form, Seraphim Seraphina. She even has the name Seraphina. Seraphina is responsible for the aspect of knowledge, and she safeguards the higher schools of the mysteries of spiritual knowledge together with Archangel Raziel. So, if we go back to the origins of our Academy of Multidimensional Evolution Alcione, the Academy of Multidimensional Evolution Alcione, where I actually studied on the subtle plane even before being born on Earth, was initiated by Archangel Raziel and the Seraphim with Seraphina, as well as other Seraphim and other Archangels, in particular Archangel Metatron. Metatron is also a curator, my main curator, and the curator of our academy. You know, for me, this was the greatest revelation. After all, when I was born on Earth, I too lost the memory of my past incarnations. And from childhood, I was raised in a completely ordinary family. And also, since I was drawn to the topic of angels, archangels, and saints, naturally I was drawn into the church. I went through the church in my youth, immersed myself in it very deeply, constantly attended services, knew many prayers by heart, and prayed every morning and evening. And even back then, I started receiving channelings because I would pray and during prayer ask questions. How will this happen? How will that happen? Why do you do this? And why should one act this way? And that's when information from them started to be revealed to me. But I still wasn't aware of it yet. But what surprised me the most was the discrepancy between the image of God and the angels that is formed in religious circles and what they're actually like. It took me a very long time to get rid of religious stereotypes, one of which is, oh God, we are not worthy of God's mercy. We are not worthy of the angels helping us. But we beg as poor, miserable people. Please, have mercy on us, angels. Oh dear. It turns out that this is nonsense. And on the contrary, angels do not help when a person whines, falls into a victim mentality, and begs, I am so poor and miserable. They just stand there like this and wait. Well, are you done whining yet? I've been through this myself. There were situations when I was struggling, for example, feeling bad, when I asked the archangels about something, about some answers. But they saw that I needed to find support within myself, to forgive myself, for example, to heal my own soul, to find the answers within myself. And in those moments, you ask the archangels, come on, give me the answers, help me, poor, miserable me. They step aside. Just like that. And they stand there watching, saying, go on, go on. We'll wait while you play the victim here. Go ahead, play the victim, fine. Once you calm down, then we'll come back. And they simply wait until the person calms down. Because archangels are the embodiment of creative energy, and they do not feel pity, because pity is an emotion dictated by pride. You see? Pity. We are so great, so mighty, condescending to you, poor, sinful, foolish little people. Alright then, since you're whining and suffering so much, we'll help you. No, that's not how it works. On the contrary, a person who drives themselves into a victim mentality, banging their head against the floor, suffering, begging, help is given to that person as well, but only to the extent that they finally understand that they need to learn to rely on themselves. That's exactly why this incarnation is given to them, so that each person can make themselves in the likeness of God, not a miserable, trembling creature lying around and begging, oh, only a higher power can help me. Oh, I'm incapable of anything, so poor, sinful, and unhappy. Nothing will be granted to such a person. You see, someone who plays the victim. Archangels do not understand the language of pleading from a victim mentality, not words like, I beg you, please, have mercy on me. No, it doesn't work that way. You need to interact with them as if they are your brothers, that you love them and they love you. And when you address the archangels, you speak to them, my dear ones, my beloved brothers, support me, help me, give me strength and support. Allow me to rejoice with you, to feel love together with you. In other words, the archangels support and nourish beneficial feelings in a person's confidence, a sense of one's own complete self-worth. Without pride, without arrogance, without self-flagellation. On the contrary, they nurture a person's healthy qualities. They teach a person to be independent rather than keeping them in a victim mentality. After all, if angels were to come at every pitiful whim and, with a snap of their fingers, remove all of a person's problems, then everyone on earth would simply become lazy whiners who do nothing but complain about how bad everything is and need to be coddled like eternally small children who never grow up and are always crying and crying. And what are the archangels supposed to run after you and shove a pacifier in your mouth? Here you go, please, suck on your pacifier, calm down. They only do that when you are still a completely clueless child, when you still don't understand anything at all. Yes, they help. Yes, they comfort you. Yes, they will give you support. But if you're already a grown man and still behave like a little baby, always crying and whining, helplessly flailing your arms and saying, I can't do anything, they won't help then. They say, my dear, you've already grown up. You have arms and legs. You can set your own intention. You can do this and that. You have strength, divine strength that has been given to you. So develop it. Archangels do not play the Cartman triangle with people, rescuer, victim, aggressor. But people perceive archangels exactly this way. People fall into the victim mentality. They ask the archangels as if they were saviors. Then they get upset when their whims aren't fulfilled. Then they start to see the archangels as aggressors and as tyrants, because they think, oh my God, how dare I? But I'm such a sinner, I just did something bad. How dare I address this archangel? What will he think of me? You know, archangels are present next to you even when you're having sex, for example. And when you want to conceive a child, Archangel Gabriel comes along with the soul of the child who is to be born. The archangel comes and other angels come as well. At the birth of a child, there are consultant angels. You're having sex and they're watching you. Can you imagine? And there's nothing shameful about it. Haha, funny, isn't it? Go ahead and laugh, for heaven's sake. but that's actually how it happens. And they're in the midst of this love. For them, it's not bad, not a sin, not anything like that. At that very moment, they're already channeling energy so that a soul can incarnate into a body, helping it to be born. Can you imagine that? God says, be like children, not in the sense of being helpless, defenseless, crying and whining. He says, be like children in the sense that you shouldn't burden yourself with bad thoughts. Who are children? They are like a blank slate who believe in truth and believe in miracles. That is, children are guileless beings. They simply love. They live in every moment of life. A child doesn't think, oh my God, what will happen to me in 2 weeks? A child doesn't get upset over the past, like someone called him a name in the sandbox last week. And that's it. Now he has an existential crisis. That's it. The child is only 7 years old. He just plays and enjoys life. He picks leaves from a tree, counts them as if they were money. He plays store or plays something else. A child always believes in miracles. That's what is meant when people say, be like children. And yes, the archangels, as you write, interfere. Do not interfere without a person's request. Do not do anything against the will. Never. They can only help on the level of the soul. That is, archangels will not remove all your problems, even if you do everything right and pray to them properly. Yes, they help a person gain the strength needed to solve their own problems. Notice how everything is arranged. Archangels do not remove your problems. Instead, they help you discover within yourself the strength to solve any challenge or issue. That is how their energies work. In other words, they are helpers, but helpers for growth, not for parasitism. Because otherwise people would turn into parasites. You understand, right? Well, yes, in church people see themselves as God's slaves. This is a form of positioning that unfortunately is unconstructive because it was imposed precisely by the dark hierarchy. Because in Lucifer's dark hierarchy, the concept of God is that of a dictator and a slave owner. In other words, Lucifer believes that everyone who worships God is his slave. And that's why he says it that way. But in reality, people are children of God. His manifestations, the angels, are our brothers, because they are with us. Well, we've already talked about everything, about all these aspects. And the last thing I want to say is that by the word angels, if we take everything that is generally meant by the word angel, and angel is a messenger of God or a messenger of a bright higher power, some kind of high vibrational being, the forces of light are not represented only by spiritual beings. Our world is conditionally divided. Again, I want to emphasize the word conditionally. It is divided into 3 fundamental components. These are the spiritual world, the world of non-incarnate spirits, where all spirits exist as the higher self of the Absolute and are interconnected. And the world of incarnate spirits, that is, those born through a physical body. The world of incarnate spirits is conditionally divided into 2 layers. The subtle material world, which consists of energies, quantum energies, and the dense material world, which consists of physical matter, the same kind as us, right? We live in the dense material world and incarnate from the spiritual world into the dense material world. So the term angels refers not only to those beings that exist in the spiritual world, the world of energies, but also to those beings that exist in the subtle world. In other words, these are nature spirits. For example, I was asked about Svarog, the goddess Jiva, and so on. These are those who exist in the world of subtle energies, nature spirits, and they are also forms in which angels manifest. They can also appear as forms in which deities manifest. It is all part of a single whole. And well, they can manifest in material bodies like us, but living on other planets. In all religious texts, it is said that gods come down from the heavens, or angels descend from the heavens in a heavenly chariot. So this heavenly chariot is, as a rule, a flying saucer, glowing. And these angels who have descended from the heavens are often extraterrestrials. And the extraterrestrials are, as a rule, depicted as angels. These are luminous, high vibrational extraterrestrials, such as the Pleiadians, for example, or the Arcturians, who radiate light. They emit an aura of warm, unconditional love. They are also considered angels, called angels. Therefore, I would say that in some texts, even in the Bible, they are called Elohim, Elohim. And there are even words there saying that the Elohim, or the sons of God, descended to earth and took the daughters of men as wives. That is, this was a period when there was a global interbreeding on earth between earthly humans and all the civilizations that wanted to take part in the creation of our modern human species. That was the time, yes, as written in the Bible, when the Elohim or extraterrestrial civilizations came to earth, took the daughters of men, and from them children were born demigods, right? That is, beings who were half extraterrestrial, half earthly. By the way, Krishna and Yeshua are examples of such demigods. They are also demigods, because, well, demigods in quotation marks, because their fathers, you could say, were from the stars, from the heavens. But just like us, they had physical bodies. Rab means Ra, light, and Bi, divine. No, that's not correct. In reality, you shouldn't break down these words in this way, because, as I said, it's just your mind doing all of this. What you're doing isn't the truth, it's your mind at work. The mind divides everything into pieces and tries to study those pieces separately. Do you understand? You take an elephant. Here is an elephant. You break the elephant into pieces. So the tail, okay, the legs, the ears, the trunk. And you start thinking, the tail looks like a thin vine, so maybe the elephant is a vine hanging from a tree. The leg looks like a tree trunk, so maybe the elephant is a tree. The trunk looks like a snake, maybe the elephant is a snake. And its ears look like bat wings, maybe the elephant is a bat. And that's it. And you end up completely confused when you start breaking words into little pieces and trying to find some sacred meaning there, when in reality you shouldn't be dividing but rather connecting concepts. Because the path of separation is a road to nowhere, a path to where the rays of light are split the farthest. And where are the rays of light split the farthest? Where there is darkness. You see what I mean, right? Light and truth are found in unity. But in separation and division, there is darkness that is a space most distant from light, most distant from truth, and most distant from what is right. That's how it is, my friends. Now I'll answer a couple of your questions, and then we'll move on to the meditation entering the quantum gates 1212. Should we not cross ourselves? Is making the sign of the cross bad? Again, duality. Take a look at my live stream where I talked about duality, where people started reproducing this duality within themselves. This is bad, and that is good. It's neither bad nor good. If it gives you strength, if it gives you support, then by all means do it. What is the sign of the cross, and why do people perform this ritual? Essentially, it's like an energy practice. What is being done here? It's the activation of the brow center, the activation of the life center, the point below the navel, the activation and opening of your heart, yes. In other words, it's the conduction of the central energy channel and the opening of the horizontal energy channel. Through our heart path, 4 energy channels, like 3 energy channels, like the axes of a coordinate system, the y-axis, the x-axis, and the z-axis. But for some reason, no one ever talks about the z-axis. So if we wanted to create a cross, I have a meditation called the Cross of Love. But we do this mentally. We simply tune into the flow and visualize a stream of light energy in the center of ourselves. Like this, as a column first, a vertical column, then a horizontal column of energy, which it doesn't just end from shoulder to shoulder, it extends to infinity. This is the horizontal flow. It passes through the entire universe, through yourself vertically, horizontally, and forward and backward. That is, it goes in 4 directions, forward, backward, in 8 directions, left, right, and up and down. This is what the universe is based on. When the creator and maker first appeared, he initially sent his consciousness in 4 in these 8 directions, up and down. Wait, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in 6 directions. And he directed his attention back and forth, and this structure appeared, which is called octahedron. So essentially, the cross is the foundation for a shape like the octahedron. The octahedron is the very first geometric figure that appears in the universe. And if we were to finish this practice, it would mean forming sacred spheres at the tips of this octahedron. If these spheres are then combined, you get the flower of life. That's how everything is arranged, everything is interconnected, one thing leads to another, and nothing conflicts or contradicts anything else. So you can do this if you wish. For example, sometimes I do it by tracing this stream of light, and I use a mudra, this particular mudra. You've seen this exact same mudra on icons when Yeshua shows it. This central finger traces the ray of light. And here a torsion field spins and it's simply traced like this. But I also add another stream, so it turns into this kind of stream of light. You might have even felt something just now. But again, this isn't connected to any religions. It doesn't belong to any specific religion. This is an energy practice. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't, then don't. It's entirely up to you. Ah. Are you making the sign of the cross correctly? That's a question. I don't frame the question as, is it right or wrong? I do it the way I feel from the depths of my heart. Because who decides what's right or wrong? Only God within you. It's about how it comes from inside, not about some guys or ladies who say this is the only way and you can't do it any other way or else you'll be shot. You understand, right? Again, I'm not trying to persuade anyone of anything. I'm simply sharing my point of view, my perspective on this situation, and I'm not urging anyone to do anything. So now we will do a meditation together, and after that I will give you a brief forecast for the future from the Archangels. Throughout this entire broadcast, they are present beside me and are transmitting energy and information through me. After the meditation is over, I will allow some more time for a channel message from them, and we will be able to communicate with them, to ask them about what awaits us in 2024, as you all have been asking. So to begin this meditation, please get into a comfortable position. You can sit down. I'm going to put an earphone in my ear now. Let me explain why. It's because I need to make sure the sound quality for you is good. If I play music on my computer without headphones, my microphone will pick up the music and there will be extra noise, and then you won't hear the music clearly. I came up with this technical solution to provide you with the best possible music sound quality so that it doesn't drown out my voice, and so on. So this is just a technical detail. Please don't try it in the comments later. Yuri, what are they telling you through the earphone? No one is telling me anything. I'm just listening to the same music you hear, so I can adjust my speech to it. But if you are mindful people, you understand this. And I don't really need to explain it here any further. So get ready. Find a comfortable position. Prepare yourself for meditation. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Close your eyes. Allow your body to fully relax. Let go of any tension. Feel your inner self, the inner warmth coming from deep within your heart. Allow this inner warmth to begin to manifest and fill your entire inner space. Let the light from deep within your heart fill your entire chest. Breathe, and with each breath, relax even more. Now, repeat after me the intention and affirmation. I deeply and truly trust God within me. Here and now, I consciously create a powerful and radiant, divine golden lens of energy, light, and unwavering protection all around myself, enveloping me completely. Within this lens is my inner space of light. Only the most pure, radiant, and high vibrational energy, which is absolutely necessary and essential for my life, my personal evolution, and my ongoing growth, is allowed to pass through the powerful, protective, and sacred energy of this divine filter, ensuring that only beneficial and supportive energies reach me. Any foreign negative energy is easily removed through this filter. So be it. I am within the sphere of the law of free will and intention. Here and now, I call upon Archangel Michael to stand to my left, Archangel Raphael to stand to my right, Archangel Gabriel to stand below me. Create around me an atmosphere of your divine protection and care, purification and love. Breathe in this energy. Feel how the space around you changes. Feel how the caring, warm, loving energy of the archangels touches your body. Absorb its divine potential. Take a breath in and feel how the energy of light begins to enter you. From somewhere above, as if from a source of boundless light, a warm, gentle energy of light begins to flow directly onto the crown of your head. Absorb it with your consciousness and allow it to spread throughout your entire body. Fill it with lightness and warmth. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale slowly. Exhale. And with every inhale and exhale, our body becomes lighter. Angels take us by the arms and begin to lift us upward. Ahead, above us, a point of shining light appears. This is a point on which is written Quantum Gate 1212. 12 is a sacred number of the Spirit. Now we are rising up to this highest quantum point, and we see that it resembles Metatron's cube. And it radiates a pattern of sacred geometry. Metatron's cube and the flower of life. From this source, a spiral begins to unfold, like a seashell, following the sequence of the golden ratio. This shell unfolds golden spiral streams of energy that flow down onto you. And now, the Archangels take you by the hands and begin to lift you higher and higher up towards the source of this light. And your body becomes lighter and warmer. As you rise, all the cells of your body become light and weightless, as if divine love itself is permeating each cell with its lightness. Now breathe with these cells of your body, and we begin to feel how the boundaries between these cells dissolve, their cell walls and nuclei dissolve, and the pure potential of your light is released. You become a being of light, a being with an activated light body. The angels lift you upward. And here, before passing through the 12 gates, we pause in one of the clouds where the well of purification is located. Now the angels gently and tenderly invite you to enter the well of purification. This well is high up in the clouds, in a radiant space of light. Now the angels help you take off your clothes. Imagine yourself removing all your clothing. This is what made you a material, earthly human being. Right now, along with your clothing, they are also removing certain chains you have wrapped around yourself, taking off magical programs, removing destructive energetic potentials, taking off shackles and restraints, and you are being set free, and you begin to feel light. You take another step forward toward the well of purification, and now an archangel made of primordial light approaches you. This is Jophiel, the archangel of love and beauty. He touches your forehead, activates an impulse of light, and your skin and physical body are removed from you and fall away, as if they were just another layer of clothing. Only your light body remains. Look at your luminous hands. They are glowing, spiritual, and radiant. Look at your luminous legs. They are glowing, spiritual, radiant, with love in every cell. Take a deep breath and fill the entire space with the light from your chest as you inhale. Now, you are no longer a personality, not even a human being. You are the primordial light. Take a breath and step with your whole soul into the well of purification. Now, angels approach you and begin to run their hands along your soul and your energy field, cleansing you of negative emotions, old programs, and stereotypes. Cleansing you of grievances and sorrows, of illnesses and suffering. They gently cleanse you of all destructive attachments and negative entities. Archangel Michael passes his luminous, radiant blue sword through you, completely freeing your soul from every destructive attachment and limitation, right here and now. Now, mentally repeat the following intention after me. I am a free being. I acknowledge and accept myself in the light of God's truth. I acknowledge and accept myself as part of the one absolute God. I acknowledge and accept myself as a particle of the Divine Creator, manifested through me. The purification is complete. You are coming out of the well of purification. And now before you appear, the gate is 12. 12. Activation of the new body of light, a new life, a new level of awareness. Leave all the old behind, all your old clothes, all your shackles, all your bonds, your old skin, everything you thought you were, all your illnesses, the archangels, throw them into the fire and burn them away. And now you, pure and radiant, are ready to step into a new era, a new epoch, a new life in the light of primordial love. And as soon as you step through these golden gates, from which the sacred golden energy of the new era 1212 radiates, your life will be renewed. As soon as you return to your body, it will be renewed, healthy, happy, prosperous, filled with strength and energy, transformed. Now, take a breath and take your first step toward these gates. Mentally attune yourself completely to the fact that now you live in happiness, in comfort, in the enjoyment of every moment of life. You acknowledge and accept love in all people. Free yourself from the illusion of duality. Take another step. And now you understand that duality does not exist. Everything is united in the light of God. The masculine and the feminine are parts of a single whole. Even on the darkest night, the stars always shine in the sky. Even in the coldest place, there is a spark of warmth. Even the darkest corners of the universe are reached by light. I am light. Take another step and accept yourself as light. Take a deep breath, and now the final step. Here and now, you realize that the angels, archangels, and the universe love you just because, no matter what, ever at all, to them, you are divine beings, just like they are. They do not judge you for any of your earthly actions. They simply love and accept you as you are. Your entire divine family of light stands beside you and tells you, you are accepted in light and love. You are accepted and loved. So accept yourself as well. And now you take a step through the gates of light and say these words. I love and accept myself in love and light. I love and accept myself in love and light. I love and accept myself in love and light. I am born anew. and a step forward takes place, and an explosion of energy from within. A new birth, a new era, a new epoch is born from you, love, and awareness are born. The realization that in every person there is a particle of God manifested in love. And now, angel wings grow from your back and envelop you with love, light, joy, and happiness. And when you return from this meditation, this state will remain within you. You will become completely filled with this state, radiating love and light from your eyes. And every person you meet, and every person to whom you show kindness, gratitude, love everyone you forgive, everyone you love will receive an impulse of this love. Now, from this sacred space of 1212, we begin to descend to the earth on angelic wings, and along with us comes a wave of golden energy new light, codes of renewal for the entire earth. We, like angels, begin to fly over the earth, soaring above the continents and showering the earth with these energies radiating light and love. Scatter it like golden pollen in all directions from your heart. Proclaim and announce to the whole world that a new era has now arrived. The time has come to forget all conflicts, to forget all wars, and to remember your soul, love, and the unity of everyone in material existence. Remember all of humanity. We are all brothers. There are no us and them. There are no friends or enemies. We are all brothers. Direct this energy of love to where it is needed most. And just as you are brothers to all angels and archangels, so too are you brothers to Yeshua. He is your brother, not a judge, not someone who will condemn you, but the one who will always forgive and love you, no matter what you have done. If you have forgiven yourself, if you have recognized your mistakes, the Creator always forgives you and loves you, no matter what you have done. Thank you, and I gratefully accept the blessing. Everyone is worthy of forgiveness and love. So be it, and so it is. It is done. It is done. It is done. And now, in this new, renewed state, you return back to your body, to this space, to this moment. Here and now, feel your body. Feel how your spiritual self descends back. Your angelic wings remain behind you, and now they envelop you, creating a constant, invisible, yet ever-present protection around you, protecting you with their warmth. Wrap yourself in these wings. Place your hands on your heart and feel the renewed state of love within yourself. Take a breath in and express your sincere gratitude to the universe, to all angels and archangels, to life itself, and to myself. Thank yourself. You are wonderful. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, send a pulse of energy to the center of the earth and bless the earth by grounding this energy. Feel how your body grows roots into the ground. Say to yourself, I am here, I am present in this moment. The earth is my mother, the earth is my home. I bless you, my Mother Earth, and my material life. May every moment of my life always be in the same beautiful state of awareness and blessing. I praise goodness and I give goodness. I receive goodness. So be it. It is done, it is done, it is done. Take a deep breath and draw in this reciprocal gratitude and love coming from the universe. A blessing for you, a renewal of every cell in your body. Gently open your eyes, touch your body, move your hands and feet, fully return to the present moment and enjoy this space. Enjoy this new state. Friends, my dear beloved brothers, a huge thank you to all of you for this meditation. It was very clear how the process of raising vibrations was happening all over the earth. And each of you, by participating in this meditation, is taking part in the global process of raising the vibrations of the entire planet. In doing so, we cleanse the earth, we accelerate its renewal, we speed up the arrival of the energy of the new era on earth. And when we talk about the true spiritual reasons for the appearance of various manifestations and incarnations on earth, we must understand that nothing ever happens by chance. And the person who is a maniac, a rapist, and the one who becomes their victim are connected to each other by sacred bonds of karma, which do not arise from mere coincidence, like someone just happening to cross their path, but come from past incarnations. And it's possible that somewhere in a past life, the one who is now the victim of a maniac rapist was themselves a maniac and a murderer in a previous life. And now they need to experience being a victim in order to understand what it feels like firsthand, right? And as we incarnate on earth, we switch roles many times. We try it both ways. And a person who, for example, is themselves a maniac and a rapist, though you think that's evil and that they should be forbidden from having that experience. Now, when a person is a maniac or a rapist, what does that mean? It means that they themselves have experienced some kind of cruelty directed at them, and they have not learned what love is. And when he causes others pain, he's trying to understand what is this pain. What is this empathy? And yes, maybe it turns out to be cruel in some way, but when he lives through the experience of being a maniac or a killer, he begins to realize the value of life. In the next life, he will be reborn in the place of the one he killed. By killing someone, he kills himself. He himself will become, in the next life, the victim of a maniac and a murderer. And then he will understand what it is. And then, the next time, he will again be reincarnated as a potential maniac and killer. But he will no longer kill anyone because he will already have that experience. That's how unique our earth is. Here, a persona, any spiritual being can try out any role and come to understand what it truly is. What is it like to be this and that, to express both this and that and that and that? To gain the fullness of experience. That is precisely why, on Earth, it is possible to develop from the very lowest level to the very highest, even within a single lifetime. But what about the idea that karma doesn't exist? It's not that it doesn't exist at all, but rather that it doesn't exist in the way it used to be understood. If a person creates you, I would say that we could replace the word karma with quantum entanglement, and that would be more accurate, because if two souls have interacted and quantum entanglement has arisen between them, then a connection forms between them, and they may incarnate together in different lifetimes. If we take the example of a maniac, for instance, then the result of him incarnating in another body and becoming a victim himself is not caused by karma itself, but by the action of balancing forces. And he might not have to reincarnate as a victim in his next life at all if you can understand his mistake and correct himself on a spiritual level without that incarnation, that is, make a leap in the evolution of his consciousness. If he does this, he won't need to incarnate and go through the experience of being a victim. So why is it necessary to incarnate as a victim and switch roles? It's to change one's awareness, so that he can feel what it's like to be in that body. But if he has changed his awareness on his own, has repented, has asked for forgiveness and forgiven himself, then the universe forgives him as well. And accordingly, he will not incarnate in the next life into this, and he will not have to go through what is commonly understood as karma. In other words, he will release this quantum entanglement and he won't need to experience it anymore. Infants who die in infancy or become ill also do so for a reason. This can be trial incarnations. For example, when a soul comes to Earth from other worlds, it doesn't yet have earthly energies. It hasn't developed them yet. That's why it starts to do trial incarnations, incarnating for a short period of time, for example, for just 2 months. It is born and immediately dies, or even dies in the womb. It tries to incarnate, stays for a little while, and then lets go. Because, and here it's not at all about, oh my God is so cruel, taking away infants. No one is taking anyone away there, and no one suffers because of it. These souls themselves choose a short incarnation because they need to get used to a material body, and each time they simply extend it further and further. This time he incarnated, died at 1 month old, a baby, yes. Then this soul incarnates again, lives for 7 years and dies. Then it incarnates again, lives for 10, then 20 years, then 30 years, and then eventually has a long life, yes. And in this way it happens many times first, the energy is developed, then the connections are formed, and so on. So all of this shouldn't be perceived from a childish perspective. Oh God. God is so bad, so cruel, justifying rapists and murderers. God loves everyone and teaches us to accept and forgive all people. This is what the true God teaches. Not condemnation, not arrogance, not pride, but the idea that even a maniac or a rapist can live through several incarnations, evolve, and become an archangel. Do you understand? Because he has evolved. As promised, now there will be a channeling from the Archangels and their forecast for the coming year. Who will be delivering the channeling now? Archangel Raziel. Archangel Raziel will now deliver the channeling. I greet you, dear incarnated souls of light. Each of you in your manifestation is a part of the original source, which is what we all are. Now you have felt for yourselves what this is, and your task is to always carry this feeling within you. When you incarnate on Earth, you all forget, but the sacred source of all knowledge is always with you, like the original book of life in which all your incarnations are read. Right now, you are incarnated at a time on Earth when each of you is required not just to be a passive observer, but to engage in deep sacred work on yourselves and on the entire space around you. This work is carried out in the profound language in which the entire universe is written. Within each of you there is a manifestation of all the original elements. And there is one element that possesses the highest magical power. This magical quality is the foundation of all existence, which manifests everything into matter. This element is the original source of information. Information flows into you as a stream of oscillatory movements of your thoughts. It is precisely your mental radiation that determines all the characteristics of your planet and all the movement of your vibrations, both collectively and individually. In order to truly evolve for yourself, it is necessary to take control of your entire thought process and consciously choose your thoughts. Choose your thoughts in the context when they are charged with positive potential. But what can be considered positive or negative if in the universe there is truly no positive or negative, no good or evil? Positive or negative can only be considered a relative point which is chosen by you yourself based on your current level of vibrations and awareness. You can take your current level of vibration and awareness as the 0 point, and then all vibrations that are lower than yours, as well as all thoughts and all awareness that vibrate at frequencies below your own, are negative or destructive for you. And all your thoughts, feelings, and sensations that vibrate at frequencies above your range, which are a plus, will be positive, evolutionary, and developmental for you. We, like all archangels, now suggest that you learn to see, as is our nature, each of your thoughts' potentials in the context of this awareness. If you give preference throughout your day and your life to thoughts that are in the negative context, then you yourself move away from truth and awareness, lowering your vibrations. This does not contribute to the evolution of the entire planet or your own. This happens through the fact that you judge, resent, insult, and belittle other people, even if you do not express it in words or actions. It is enough that there is a note of contempt in your thoughts toward other souls, just as sacred as you are. If you allow these notes of contempt, judgment, arrogance, or pride, you shift the potential of your vibrations in a negative direction and gradually lower it. We ask you to let go of all these false illusions. It does not matter who the others are. There is no need to judge them. Let them go, allow them to live their own lives, and live your own life. You do not need to think of yourself as either better or worse than others. There is no need to pay attention to the actions others take, to their mistakes, or to criticize them neither in word, nor in deed, nor in thought. Pay attention only to your own actions. Be honest only with your own heart, and always act in accordance with the resonance and vibration of your soul. Be aware of every action in a non-violent way, actions that move you along the path of evolution, as well as everyone around you. People will be drawn to you precisely because you radiate love and acceptance into the space around you. People distance themselves from those who consider themselves too smart, arrogant, overly spiritual, or above and better than others. People do not evolve next to such individuals. They are wary of them. But when you learn to develop within yourself the qualities of acceptance and love without judgment, without even the slightest hint of criticism or condemnation, accepting each person as they are, then people are naturally drawn to you and open their souls, knowing that you will not hurt them or spit back into their soul, realizing that it is from you that the light of love emanates, the very light they so desperately need. And even if you are not able to directly tell them about angels, the spiritual world, higher powers, or other civilizations, you can always offer them a warm word of love coming straight from your heart and pouring this warmth into them. By accepting it, they will change their feelings, their perception, and their level of vibration. In this way, each of you, as bearers of light, heal and transform everyone around you, incarnated here for this mission. This is what we wanted to convey to you, the Archangels. Now, the forecast. What awaits you in the upcoming 24th year? The forecast is delivered by Archangel Raphael and Archangel Metatron. Archangel Metatron. The coming year will be marked by a gradual transformative process of restructuring your entire matrix. The earthly matrix has undergone a very serious energetic impact, which came both from negative sources and was harmonized and balanced by the light flow of the solar flare that reached you in the form of the northern lights you have seen recently. Now is the time for you to create a new sacred network of light, because the old energy grids are beginning to break down, and what is needed now is the maximum mobilization of people in the creation of a new consciousness of quantum thinking. Thinking from a point of abundance, just as other archangels before me have taught you. A way of thinking that consciously chooses only positive, beneficial thoughts for oneself and for everyone. This is very important right now, because the energies that begin from this day will very quickly connect the layers of the universe between the 3D, 4D and 5D vibration layers. You will begin to feel that your thoughts are manifesting more quickly. Your abilities for channeling, clairvoyance and telepathy will begin to awaken. Now is the time to engage in practices and study methods for interacting with your soul and your subconscious. It is essential right now to place a strong emphasis on developing your sense of awareness. And now Archangel Raphael adds, "Dear friends, I would also like to urge you personally learn to develop your emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the source of your love, the source of your understanding of your own feelings and emotions. You are used to thinking logically, to relying only on the intellect of the mind, which you were taught in your schools, the intellect that knows how to divide things into parts, to count, to read, to understand. But you were never taught in school about the intelligence that feels, about the soul's sensual perception, what your scientists, specialists and psychologists now call emotional intelligence. Turn to it and begin to develop it. It is emotional intelligence that is the most important for the development of the spirit. The intellect of your consciousness, the intellect of awareness, and emotional intelligence must be harmonized. Right now, your society has been heavily focused on developing logical intelligence. But the time has come to develop sensory intelligence, to develop the ability to be aware of and understand all your feelings and emotions, to manage them, and as a result, the unification of these two forms of intelligence, logical intelligence and spiritual intelligence, will give you the union of soul and mind, will give you the integration of your spirit with your body and soul. This is precisely the task of restoring wholeness, of healing, and of the quantum transition. We, all the archangels, thank you for your attention. The coming year will be filled with new surprises for you, and many more energies will continue to flow to your planet. We cannot give you any specific forecast, because the only thing we can tell you is that in the coming year it will be even easier for you to freely create your own reality. Therefore, if you now set the intention to accept yourself and your life as a divine manifestation, all your intentions and desires in the coming year will come true much more easily and quickly, requiring far less energy to bring them into reality. This is our message to you. With that, I thank you and conclude the transmission. The Council of Archangels. Thank you all. And also, for me personally, while I was listening to the archangels just now, honestly, when I listened during a channeling session, I don't even remember what I just told you, not even a little bit. But when they were talking at the end about the forecast for the future, the archangels, since I can communicate with them in parallel, meaning I speak the words and at the same time I'm also asking them something, they answered me that there will be specific points in the future, dates that will be the most active, and on those dates, new quantum streams will be launched. But they said not to get hung up on this right now. There's no need to focus on it at the moment. If you want, they told me, you can reach out to the Arcturians. The Arcturians will give precise forecasts because they scan all of this on the physical plane, but the Archangels, they exist in the spiritual world, and for them our material world appears differently. So what did you think of this channeling? Was it interesting? Was everything I said clear to you? Put a plus sign if it was clear. Put a minus sign if it wasn't clear. After this broadcast ends, if you feel grateful, please leave a comment. And I ask you very much, please be attentive and careful with any sources of information you are listening to right now. Very many have not completed this transformation. A lot of guides have not managed to pull themselves into the light. They still remain stuck in some of their on-site practices. Listen to everything with your heart. Filter everything through your awareness. Say this phrase literally, remove the illusions. And with a snap of your fingers, remove the illusions. That's it. And feel only with your heart. It's not about what he says, but about what I feel. Because unfortunately, people now have the impression that if a video is on YouTube, if someone made it to YouTube, then it must be the truth. I'm going to disappoint you. 80% of the esoteric information I see on the internet, including on YouTube, is not accurate. I check it afterwards, and I see that it doesn't correspond to reality. Learn to discern, learn to verify things for yourself. Rely on yourself, rely on your awareness, because there are frankly insane schizophrenic people on YouTube who broadcast scaring people with all sorts of Anunnaki and other horror stories. These are truly crazy people who need treatment, who need to see a doctor, for whom even a psychologist can no longer help. They've meditated themselves into some kind of state, something's come loose in their heads, and now these Anunnaki have come to them and completely messed up their minds with their so-called connections. So be careful with your sources of information. Filter out anything that causes you even the slightest discomfort. This is very important. Thank you all, and with that, I'm concluding today's live stream.